I spent a significant amount of time in my life, in my younger years, trying to psychoanalyze human beings. I used to sit down in high school and ask people, hey, can I ask you a series of questions that will help me elude what you are, who you are as an individual, and what motivates you? And to my surprise, many people genuinely enjoyed the process. I would like to think that I did not tell them something without use, without value. To the point where I met someone recently and they said, hey, you should be a tarot card reader. Whatever that means to you, so be it. What I wanted to talk to you about in this video is archetypes. The types of personalities that I've come across in life that I think will come up time and time again in every different culture, in every different language. I will not delve into the specifics of the archetypes because I have not made a list and I'm walking around merely philosophizing, thinking about things that may be of use, benefit to a worldly individual. Archetypes, archetypes, archetypes. I strain away from putting things in boxes. Why? Because people, by their nature, are unique. Every aspect of them. The way that they look, to the way that they make other people feel, to their ambitions in life. Everything about an individual is going to be different. Thus, putting them in a box, basically useless. But that does not mean that if we come across information, if we come across things that we see in common with multiple people, that we should not take these things into account and that we should not utilize them to have a better perception of the world, a more well-rounded and hopefully useful perception of the world. So how do I go about categorizing people and at the same time not putting them in a box, not judging them? Listening. Listening is the first step. And really, without listening, without having something to think about in the background, some sort of comparison to draw, we're not going to be able to find anything out to the point where it can be a useful pillar in our foundation or our philosophy. So, say I'm talking to a random person. Say I've just met a stranger and they seem to be defensive. They seem to have an ego about them. The way that they dress, the way that they walk, the way that they talk, all of these things will be things that I take into account. Now, in the beginning, the way that people want to be treated is often how they will treat you. It is a necessary evil that must be crossed and at the same time must be appreciated. I think naturally, the people that will put up facades of gusto, of strength, of anger, naturally those people are actually looking for that in the world. They might not know it yet, but it actually makes them feel comfortable when they see other people that are acting in a similar way. We are all this way. The way that I act in life, I would love for other people to act. If I see that, I get incredibly happy. People saying my name makes me feel very good because that's something that I value. So our initial contact with someone tells us a lot. Now, we're not going to be particularly analytical at this time because we can't afford to be. Because not only are they treating us a certain way, obviously we want them to treat them a certain way based on how we want to be treated. So the initial interaction is one almost of conflict. So how does one approach conflict of trying to psychoanalyze someone without having a particularly unsatisfying experience, an unsavory experience? Well, I think humility falls into it. I think saying to ourselves that this person is one of many billions, but also maybe my one form of entertainment for the next half an hour is very important. Essentially being interested in people. One of my mentors told me a long time ago, Rob, you don't want to get bored in life, get into people. Enjoy the little things that they do. Enjoy the little things that motivate them. And you, my friend, will never be bored. Everything around us, as you see on this street, has been created by human beings, for human beings. If we do not find interest in this, I believe our life is going to be very, very boring. And this is why I'm making this video about archetypes, to hopefully encourage you to get more into people. Okay, so we have this initial interaction, we have a little bit of conflict, certain jokes kind of go the other way, doesn't really make sense, certain things hit, certain things we have in common. Okay, now we can start building. What examples of this type of person have come up in life, and what are things that that person enjoyed doing? One of my favorite questions to ask a stranger is, what do you do for fun? To a lot of people, this puts them on edge because, frankly, they don't know the answer. What can you do? What can you do about someone that does not know what they enjoy, what they genuinely like doing in life? What can you do? I tend to now focus on how they feel, the things that are current to them. How is life? Who are the people in your life you care about? Why do you care about these people? Is there an event that came up recently that you felt a certain way about? Would you like to talk about it? To me, these things are eternally interesting. People's emotions are essentially what built all of this. The thing that derives our satisfaction, the thing that derives our purpose in life, is the depth of our emotions. The thing that derives the longevity of our life is the depth of our emotions. So to stay interested in this, I think, is a fountain of youth, of having a fascinating life. Okay, so you find out basically their sense of humor, the way that they walk, the way that they talk. You find out generally what they like to do. And then you find out what emotional event came up recently that struck them. Just based on these questions alone, you can get a very good view of who someone is, what they are. To put them in a box at this point, complete waste of time, because you have not gotten deep enough. That is merely the surface. The next part to me is the soul. What does the soul mean, and why is it important to begin with? Because the soul to me determines how someone is going to interact or react to new situations. The soul to me determines that perhaps you may have a facade on the outside that you want to present to the world. Perhaps you have certain emotions that you don't have particular control over at the time. But in the long run, what is the evolution of you as a person? That, to me, is a fascinating question. That, to me, is a question worth our time because it's incredibly valuable. The answer to that question is not only valuable to us, but it's also valuable to the person that we're talking to. Thus, psychoanalysis does not become something selfish. It becomes, in fact, hopefully, if done in a humble, kind manner, hopefully something that sheds light, proper light, on the person that we are attempting to psychoanalyze. Not in a kind of analytical, experimental sense, but in a very human, emotional sense, in a very soulful sense, to actually care about the person we are talking to. So, we've gotten all this information. Okay, now imagine that we do this time and time again. We do this 1,000 times with 1,000 different human beings. Imagine the amount of emotional data that we'll have at our fingertips and analyze society, hopefully in a broader, more well-mannered perspective. That is my aspiration as an emotional intelligence coach or a teacher in any capacity. I want to understand people. Part of it is always understanding ourselves. So how do we psychoanalyze ourselves? I think it's going to come down to reading books, meditating, and at the end of the day, knowing that in 5 years from now, my friend, we are going to be different people. The parts of our ship are going to have changed, and that's a good thing. Set on a journey, and you will change. When you change, you will have a story to tell. And the psychoanalysis of your soul, for a person like me, will be incredibly interesting. Obviously, being in my head can be difficult at times, but hey, I'm not alone in that. And I hope being in your head can be difficult at times too. Because hey, life is good. Think optimistic thoughts. When on a mission to observe humanity, at least put in some positivity, some optimism, and these experiences won't drain you. They will actually build you up as a person. That is at least my insight on archetypes. Hopefully you find this interesting, fascinating. Let me know what your comparison is in your method of psychoanalyzing people. I'd be very curious. Anyway, smash that thumbs up button if you made it this far. Smash that subscribe, that bell. I create videos like this all the time, talking about the little things in life, the very, very important things in life. And if you have a second, check out this video where I talk about the human condition, the trends that I'm seeing in society these days, and whether or not we have the power to oppose them. Actualize your potential, my friend. This world needs you. Take care.